Alrighty. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode. Well, I'm still not sure if I should call them episodes or not, but this open mic about Hogwarts Legacy. Now, I know this has nothing to do with 40k and nothing to do with what this channel mostly covers, but I've never really restricted the open mics to just 40k content, so why not talk about this here? Now, I have been playing Hogwarts Legacy on the gaming channel, so if anyone wants to see my direct reactions to the game and how I feel about it as I play through it, by all means, go check out the gaming channel. Much appreciate any kind of viewership or any kind of interaction over there if you want to check that stuff out. But I'm going to be having this open mic about this oh-so-fun topic here, because this channel is more adept at covering this kind of stuff, and I like to keep the gaming channel more lighthearted, a little less spicy, if you will. And this channel, I've never really had that kind of restriction. So today I wanted to open the house up, if you will. And as always, the reason this show is called the Open Mic Show is it's an open mic. I have a Discord that's going to be linked in the description of the stream, and I will share the link in chat right now. Go ahead and join that Discord server. It's used for call lines, and it's only that. It's not a community server. It's just for call lines. And if you want to come in and give your thoughts on this particular topic, just hit into any of the waiting rooms, waiting room 1, 2, or 3, and I'll pull you in one at a time. Now, I like to have these open mics to have an open conversation about these topics, and I usually start these streams with a quick rundown of my own thoughts, which I will do here. So, for anyone who's not familiar with what the controversy is, and I don't know how you can be and still be on the internet, certainly if you see this show on your feed, you probably have seen the controversy. But Hogwarts Legacy, the big, longly awaited Harry Potter or Wizarding World, if you don't want to use specifically Harry Potter for whatever reason as the term, has recently dropped, and it is a good game. It's a really fun game. Unfortunately, we're not here to talk about the actual quality of the game as much as we're going to be talking about the drama around it. There has been a huge move to boycott this game, and that boycott has not been around the quality of the game. The boycott has not been, oh, people think that the game is not going to function, it's poorly optimized, it's broken, or they think the aesthetic is bad, or some actual genuine criticism about the game itself or the developers. No, it's because a woman who has nothing to do with the game whatsoever, except for one minor thing, which is she gave the developers permission to use her license, and she's getting royalties for it. But outside of that, zero. Oh yeah, I'll change the image, my bad. But she has zero. Hold on. It's always one thing I forget to do. But she has zero to do with the actual development of the game, the writing of the game, the production of the game, the marketing of the game. As far as I've seen, she has absolutely nothing to do with this game. Nothing. Not a single ounce of her being actually went into this game. And despite that, and any and all logic whatsoever, hardcore nutjob psychos on Twitter and Tumblr and Reddit have been demanding people not buy the game, not play it, not talk about it. This game has unironically become the Voldemort of video games to these psychos. And it's hilarious. And the thing is, their demanded boycott, their psychotic hatred of this game through their psychotic hatred of J.K. Rowling has failed. And not just failed, but failed completely. Even people on their political sphere have been ignoring them and playing this game. And it's so beautiful to watch this shit go down. I'm not gonna lie. I get a sick satisfaction watching these psychos get smacked in the face with how little power and influence they really have. Because oftentimes, they convince themselves that they actually have some kind of sway, influence, or control over the world, over the sway of people, over whether or not things happen. And to see something like this go down where they just they made absolutely no difference to how this game sold. If anything, they helped sell copies. Because the fastest way to get people to do something is tell them not to, especially when your reasoning is as bad as these people's reasoning has been. So, yeah, I've just been enjoying the heck out of it. But I'm actually hopeful that we'll get in today some of those people who are violently and crazily defending and propping up the boycott of this game. I'm hoping we get a couple of them in today. Yes, for the entertainment value, but also because I really want to see if they can actually provide me with some kind of argument that doesn't just come down to I'm psycho and can't differentiate between a person and a video game they have nothing to do with. So, that's just me. But anyway, let me welcome some people in the chat who are already here. Welcome Jagona, Cindy, Jenny, Rebellious Red, Lightning Lunatic, and Zolfi. Welcome, guys. Hope you guys are enjoying the opening here. And again, if you guys want to join the call lines, give your thoughts. I'll share the links again real quick. Feel free to jump on in. I'd love to have you guys. Love to get your perspective. But if I haven't made mine clear, I'll make it clear real quick. I think anybody who has a problem with this game on the grounds of transphobia, A, doesn't know anything about the game, B, is stupid, and C, really needs to touch grass for like a modicum amount of time. Oh yeah, 11 watchers, 5 likes. Come on, guys, leave a like. Come on, support the stream. Always love to see it. All right, we got our first caller. Let's bring him in. Lightning Lunatic, you're my first caller for the open mic. So, what are your thoughts on this whole Hogwarts Legacy BS?
My thoughts are it is exactly that. BS. Complete and total BS.
Love to hear it.
And I say this as someone who is almost literally grown up with it. My sisters and I would go down to a bookstore an hour away to pick up glorious hardcover copies of the original novels.
Nice. I mean, a little bit... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
And I was just sort of eyeing this out the corner of my eye. Not really too interested in the game. Like, it's another game to go on my ever-expanding backlog. And then the screeching started. I'm like, okay, first you had my curiosity. Now you got my attention.
Right.
And I knew inevitably this would enter a bunch of other people's sphere of influence. So, you know what? I'll just sit back, watch, wait, and see if I can judge the game by merits rather than, well, you know, the screeching. Because the screeching is never something to be, you know, to pay attention to other than, oh, hey, that's a lovely Streisand effect there.
Oh, yeah. And would you agree with the idea that a huge amount of the success, or not a huge amount, but at least a decent number of success from this game, especially recently, has come off the back of people buying it solely because they've been told not to, for the reasons provided?
Oh, absolutely. The Streisand effect, I believe, for this is in full effect.
Oh, yeah. It's glorious to see. Well, welcome, Siege and Alex Lyson. Did you see that they're tracking? Oh yeah, I'll bring that up, but in a second here.
Oh, they're talking about the streamer hit list. I saw
the hit list
about that.
I've been calling it the blacklist, but yeah.
Yeah, it is effectively a blacklist, and the guy pulled it down.
Oh yeah, that was glorious to see. Especially, you know, if you actually paid attention to that. Like, I saw the initial tweet from the Sam Gibbs dude. I saw that initially. And then, like, he blocked any replies to his, which thing is the beauty of, I guess you could call it the beauty of, but in Twitter, even if you block someone from being able to respond to your tweet, you can't block them from quote tweeting it. So people were still quote tweeting like that psycho blacklist thing en masse and pointing out how, again, psycho it was that they created a whole website And they didn't even call, like, the thing is, in the website, they didn't even call it Hogwarts Legacy. They were like that Harry Potter game.
That not that Harry Potter game, that Wizarding game.
They're
not even mentioning the franchise in question.
It's the irony, the beauty of that. Is like, this is the Voldemort game to them.
It's the Voldemort franchise. Holy crap. The lack of self-awareness is just... It's pitiable, but at the same time, it is hilarious.
Yeah. And the thing is, despite everything, they still keep trying to, like, hate on the game. To the point where right now, and it started up, like, within the last day or so, the same people who've been trying their absolute best to get people to not buy it or play it have now been going around, and they're now, like, sharing... like the spoilers of the game's story, which I kind of find funny because, like, I can't speak for everybody, but for me, I'm not, the story isn't even what's mainly driving me to play the game that much. Like, I like the story in the game. It's not bad. It's serviceable enough to keep me playing. But honestly, it's just the gameplay as a whole. It's the actual, like, exploration of the world. It's moving around by broomstick. It's living that, like, Harry Potter simulator. That's what's fun about it. So I don't know why they think that that's gonna be successful in getting people to not play it now, especially if where they share it, the people who are going to be seeing it have probably already bought the game. They've achieved nothing.
It was literally one of the first things I did when I got home this afternoon. Was I bought the game? It'll be downloading. It's like they don't understand marketing and catering to your target audience.
Oh, yeah. Oh, by the way, briefly, just to share my history with the Harry Potter franchise, because I guess I didn't do that. I should have done that at the beginning, but real quick. I grew up reading all of the books. They were some of the first books that I started to read as a little kid, and I listened to the audiobooks a lot when I was little. So I was obsessive to the point of, like, listening into it every night at, like, my worst. But I still, even after that, as a little kid, wouldn't describe myself as a Potterhead, considering though I did find the world enchanting and liked it. By the time I was around, I want to say 13 or 14, it completely sifted out of my field of interest. I still, like, occasionally listen to the books now as an adult when I'm doing, like, other tasks, and I have no other audiobook I want to listen to, and it's just kind of fun listening to, especially the audiobook guy for Harry Potter, because he puts so much effort in the voice acting of the characters. It feels fun to just listen to. But
I think I know exactly the book, the narrator you're talking about. I forget the guy's name, but oh dear,
I do too, and I feel bad about that. But yeah, like but overall, I would say I'm not a Potterhead, because, like, when we all think of Potterhead, we think of the crazies online that, like, constantly, like, cosplays like Gryffindors or Slytherins or Hufflepuffs or whatever, and they're constantly, like, making, like, fan fiction about that universe and stuff. Like, they go, like, the Potterheads are, like, absolutely bad shit for this universe, to the point where it's, like, the only thing they're really hype on. That's just not me. I like the universe enough that I know plenty about it, but I just don't go that far. Like, I don't have any Harry Potter cosplay. I don't even have the physical copies of the book anymore. I just have the audiobooks, which I rarely listen to.
Yeah, I as much as I like a lot of things, it's definitely cringeworthy if you go just that far. But if you're a fan of something and genuinely like it to the point where you're buying books, or in this case now video games and whatnot, then I think that's more than good enough.
Yeah.
Just don't let it consume your life. Like anything, moderation, balance is key.
Absolutely. And this will be, like, my last question directly for you. And feel free to, like, levy a question to me after this. But would you say, what's your take on, like, the people saying that if you play this, you support transphobia?
Those people don't know me in the slightest. Or
nope.
Anyone like that in the slightest.
Nope.
They are closed off, walled off from everything except the internet. They need to go outside and touch grass, or if they live far enough north, touch snow, just breathe some fresh air, relax, chill, maybe spend some time away from social media,
Particularly Twitter.
especially Twitter, or heck, maybe just, pick up the game, try it for yourself. Just try it for yourself. Just give it a few hours.
Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna point this out, but it's not. It is a light spoiler, but it's really minimum, especially with how early in the game it happens. But there is a trans character in this game, and that's why, like, when I see people say like this game is transphobic, or like they don't just say like J.K. Rowling's transphobic, and if you play this, you're transphobic because you're tangentially supporting her with like a minimal percentage of profit she's getting from the game. No, they go all out and say the game itself is transphobic, or it's the most transphobic game ever.
I think I saw that NPC in question on your stream briefly. I thought, oh, okay, that's a little disconcerting at first, but okay, that's a damn good barkeep. I work in a bar, so I'm qualified to comment.
Yeah, and well, the thing is, the character's name is Serona Ryan in the game, for anyone who wants to know. And again, this is like a very light spoiler. I'm not like you meet her pretty early on, within the first 4 or 5 hours, and she's a side character, not a main character. And honestly, this game has done not just trans representation, but like any kind of like left-leaning diversity. Honestly, this game did it correctly, like how you should do inclusivity. And like if you're gonna do it at all, there is a right way to do it, and this game did it. Because Serona, the game, like, first of all, when you meet her, the game does nothing to highlight that she's trans. Like, the only way you, like for me, I didn't even realize Serona was trans. The voice sounded weird. I was like, okay, why? This is a very deep voice sounding woman, but the game in no way told me Serona was trans. At first, I just thought it was a weird voice acting choice. And someone in the chat pointed out to me that Serona was trans. But the game at no point like made a highlight of that. And even when other like a bad guy character enters the bar while you're there, and honestly, for a second after the chat told me that, I was briefly worried that they were gonna that was how they were gonna tell the audience that she was trans, was that the bad guy was gonna like say something to her or judge her or like hate on her for being trans and then make a big deal out of it that way. But it didn't happen. Like, the bad guy character, in fact, respected Serona to the extent of not pushing his luck once the whole bar turned on him after she, called up for the respect. And their whole altercation had nothing to do with it. It wasn't brought up at all. Like, it was more about she's boss of the Three Broomsticks. You don't piss her off. Especially with the amount of respect she holds in Hogsmeade. And none of it, like I said, none of it was about her being trans. It was more about her as a person and the kind of bar and community she helps run, which I liked. This is how you do representation of diverse people, is you don't make it about the diversity. You don't make it about the representation. You don't make it about these absolutely pointless, surface level things about a person that don't matter. Your sexual identity, your race, your gender, these are things that do not matter to anyone but you and possibly a significant other and your family. They are all the least important bits of information to learn about another person. The important things you'll learn about another person come in everything much more in depth than that. So I find it refreshing to see in this game that Serona at no point mentions she's trans, and no one else does. And the game in no way makes it a big deal. It's just, you put this character who happens to be of a diverse status in the game, but she's a person. She still has an identity outside of it, and she's not a token character where her entire identity is defined by that. So
it's just a good supporting side character.
Correct.
Which is exactly what we want. It's exactly what she needs to be.
Yeah, and that's how you're supposed to do this kind of stuff. That is how you make a non-confrontational form of representation. It's just do it. Like, you believe this should be normal, then show it to be normal, and show that you understand that that's not the end-all be-all of a character or of a person.
It's just got to be natural. Make it natural, and people will accept it. If you shove it down their throats, then don't be surprised if our proverbial gag reflex kicks up.
Depending on how they do it, yeah. All right, so you have any questions for me, big man?
Oddly enough, no, not really. I think we're pretty much of two minds of that.
I think the term is of one mind, but yeah.
Of one mind. Crowd, don't mind me. Brain space, no work so good.
No, that's fine.
Anywho, I will exit the call and make some space for other people to hop in, share their thoughts. Thanks for having me on, Asmo.
No problem, and thank you for coming on and giving your thoughts. Much appreciated.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll share the link again in the chat, and at any point, if you don't see it in the chat, it's in the description of the stream. Go right ahead and jump into waiting call rooms 1, 2, or 3 if you'd like to give your thoughts on this Hogwarts Legacy controversy BS. I always love to hear what you guys have to say. So, in the meantime, welcome Brenna. Welcome Gamer Brenna, you jumped in. That's cool. I think I welcomed Siege and Lady Runesong already, but if I didn't, welcome to both of you. The assault over the success of this game has been glorious. It is actually been glorious. Because, again, it's just... with how loudly they screeched about this game, like for months all the way up to its release, and even when it was first initially announced, to just none of it actually bear fruit in their favor. Like, nobody didn't buy the game because they told them not to. And even now, as they are actively trying to harass people playing it, like even me, like when I was streaming it, last time I streamed it, I had people come into my chat, like, calling me transphobic and calling me these other things in the middle of my stream. And credit to Jenny as an awesome moderator. She immediately shut that stuff down while I was playing the game, and I appreciate it. And it was kind of funny to watch. Like these people are that obsessed with trying to bring this down. And to be honest, I don't believe for a second that it's actually because they think this is a transphobic thing. That's the excuse. That's the BS that they spout. But that's not what it truly is. Like they might try and convince themselves of that, but at the end of the day, this is not about J.K. Rowling. It's not about transphobia. It's not about whether the game is transphobic or not. What it is fundamentally about, what this whole thing is fundamentally about, is control. It's power. They are pushing this and still trying to push this so hard because people are not listening to them and are actually doing the opposite of what they're telling people to think, say, and do. That is what is getting to these people. And that's why they're so hostile about this. That's why they're making entire websites, even though they've been taken down now, that's why they're making entire websites to target and harass specific creators who are playing this game. It's about control. And we're not, as content creators, we're not listening to them. We're not kowtowing and bowing to the demands of these psychopaths. As a whole, even left-leaning content creators I've seen have called this out for the BS that it is and just roll with it. And are still playing the game, are still streaming it, and are blocking out these horrible people that keep trying to turn this into some kind of war. Because people are actually seeing this nonsense for what it is. And it's absolutely comedic, especially if you're like not a hyper political person or you're on the opposite end of the aisle. It's very comedic to watch, but at the same time, it's kind of tragic when you think about it. Because some of the left-leaning content like creators and streamers that are being hit with this stuff, you got to think about it from their perspective. They're being attacked and harassed by their own people, so to speak. Their own group, their own echo chamber has now turned their like laser sights on them and are trying to rip them to shreds. And it's kind of sad to watch because like I don't have to fear this. My friends and like my community are pretty cool people. We're not brought together by these political ideologies, but these people are. And this shows that they, despite the fact that they might call each other this, they're not friends. They're not buddies. They're not compatriots. They're not companions. Because the moment the narrative is not supported in the least, or not supported in the way that the majority are demanding, the majority, keep in mind, of this echo chamber, they turn on them. They go violent. They go cannibalistic, and they try and tear at each other's throats. And like I said, it's kind of satisfying to watch because I'm not very political, and I don't identify with like right or left. I stick to myself. And it's kind of entertaining for me to watch because it's just like, it's crazy. It's Crazy Town. I'm watching Crazy Town. And I'm sure people who do identify on the right or do identify as like the anti-left side of things are enjoying the shit out of this more than I am. But I do kind of feel bad for those people on the left who have at least a basic level of intelligence to be able to separate art from artist. And even then, the artists who made this product aren't the ones they're mad at. They're mad at the people that they're mad at the person who inspired the artist for these artists to make this product. So it's not even a direct one-to-one. It's just crazy. They also realize the trans argument isn't working, so they're moving on to calling a game anti-Semitic. Yeah, I've seen that recently. So, yeah, they, like I said, they're so determined at this point, and that very move proves my point. This isn't about transphobia. This isn't about what they say it's about. It's about power and control, and they are pissed. They are pissed that they're not being listened to, and if anything, they're being actively ignored. They are just being given the middle finger by everybody, including some of their own, over this whole thing. And it infuriates the activists. It infuriates them. And it's just entertaining to watch. But it is so horrific, I'm sure, up close. Just the cannibalism. And that, like, the whole streamer blacklist website, and now they're moving on to anti-Semitism. Any kind of angle they can invent to destroy something that they have deemed the enemy, they have deemed the other, they have deemed something they want to fight against. It's just, I'm just left like laughing. It's like they're flailing so hard to try and hurt this game in any way. And at this point, again, it's just about the fact that people aren't listening to them. And it's not working. They're hitting a wall. Nothing they have done has hurt this game. In fact, it's done the opposite. And it's going to continue to do so. Now, Cindy, actually, who's in chat, by the way, and she's a lovely, amazing person. And I mean that. I hope that doesn't come off as sarcastic. Cindy is one of the best people ever. But, she brought up, like, recently I shared my Steam review on, like, my YouTube community tab on the gaming channel of the game. Like, I reviewed it an 8.5 out of 10 or an 85 out of 100 if you'd prefer, because that's like my general feel of the game. It's not a perfect game, it's got flaws, but none of the flaws are what these psychos are complaining about. But she brought up a decent point where, do I want to phrase it like that? She brought up a point that I find interesting. She's not going to be getting the game. Cindy's not interested in getting the game, and she's actually already tired of it and frustrated with the game. And a decent thing she did bring up is that, right now this is the big drama, but in 2 weeks people are going to let it go. And I think that's true. I think that's true for any topic you could possibly bring up. This is the internet at the end of the day. The internet is full of crazies, and the internet is full of really fickle people. I'm one of them. Everyone watching this stream right now is one of them. It's not a bad thing, though, necessarily, because the internet is a fast-moving place. Like, we move on from topics pretty fast. Now, do we forget about them? No, the beauty of the internet is, yes, we move on very quickly, but we never forget, because it's archived. There's streams, there's videos, there's Reddit posts, there's Twitter posts, there's forums. No topic is ever forgotten about, but it is moved on from very quickly. And that'll definitely happen here. Now, what I been mulling over since she said that was, does that mean we shouldn't, knowing that the internet is gonna move on within 2 weeks? Does that mean no one should really address it? Does that mean and I'm not saying this is what Cindy said, but it's like the questions I kind of asked myself off of the back of that point is, just because a topic is only gonna last a little while, does that mean we should just let it go? Quicker, to let it die quicker, or while it's still going we should still talk about it with all the same sincerity and same maybe not seriousness, but the same level of energy into it as if it was a topic that was going to last years? I think we can. I think we can talk about topics like this seriously, quote unquote, again, not actually seriously, crack jokes, make fun. That's what we're all here to do, because that's the funnest part about the internet. But we can still address it in a way where we are having an active conversation about it, even though we all know at the end of the day, it's the internet, we're going to move on in 2 weeks. And that's going to happen here. So that's kind of my stance on and that idea is like, yes, I agree 100%. The internet will move on from this topic in 2 weeks, but that doesn't mean we should just kind of ignore it altogether. You can still address it while it's a thing. Gilly Guy, welcome to stream. It's funny seeing Harry Potter go from satanic panic to transphobia panic. Oh, that's right. I totally forgot about that. But yeah, back in the day, it was a satanic panic, I suppose. That is interesting. Yeah, I totally forgot about that from back in the day because of the whole witchcraft thing. Oh, I got a caller coming in. We got the Homeless Stone. Homeless Stone, welcome to the open mic show. How you doing?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you for doing this.
No
Just
problem.
a quick clarification for everybody in chat. I don't think this game is transphobic in any sort of way, in all honesty. And these people need to get off their high horses.
Mm-hmm. I would agree.
Now, from what I have seen, now I can be corrected in chat, or by yourself even. I don't know if you've played the game.
I have.
I believe there is a trans character in it. I may be wrong.
Nope, you are correct. Serona Ryan.
Yes. Now, before I knew that, and I first saw the couple cutscenes that I saw of her or them, I don't know exactly. Again, haven't played the game. It shocked me because voice actor versus character model threw me off for a moment. I was like, wait a minute. If this is supposed to be a transphobic game, why is there a trans character here? That's the first thing that threw me for a loop.
Yeah,
for
go ahead, sorry.
The panic that's going on, for all the panic that is going on about this game.
Yeah, well, actually, what I find interesting is I pointed out to a lot of these crazies on places like Twitter because I got to that because I got early access because I played and by the way, credit to a friend of mine named Scar. He gifted me the game because I wasn't gonna be able to afford it until a launch day, but he did me a solid and he bought it for me. Not only did he buy the base game, he bought the deluxe edition, which came with 72 hours early access. And when I got to that part, and then I looked at people complaining about the game, and some people going to the logical leap of saying not only is J.K. Rowling transphobic, and this is really about not supporting her, people were claiming the game itself is rooted in transphobia, quote unquote, and the game itself is transphobic. I began pointing out to people like that clip of meeting Serona and her character, and she's actually portrayed quite positively by the game. And I found it interesting how many of them either straight up just ignored reality that I just showed them and just called me transphobic and all this other crazy stuff, rather than just acknowledge that they're being psycho and they don't know what they're talking about because they're not actually playing the game, they're not actually investing any time in this, and that they're so hyper focused on the narrative of transphobia that they aren't actually doing any of their homework on whether that's true or not. Because it's the brainwashed mentality of, well, the group says this and I'm part of the group, so therefore I must obey the group.
Yeah, it's definitely been a major groupthink style of mob mentality going on.
Oh, absolutely.
But and if that's their only complaint, it legitimately is, oh my god, it's transphobic. I'm gonna be honest, when it comes to how a game is portrayed and how it plays and everything, from what I have seen, this game is pretty good. Just regardless, as a Harry Potter property, it works.
Oh yeah.
From gameplay to customization to story.
Oh, absolutely. It is very much. This is, and I said it in my review of it. This is the Harry Potter game we have wanted for almost 2 decades. Like, it is the video game, is the Harry Potter RPG we've always wanted. Now, I will say its RPG elements are really rough. The gear has stats, but there's no depth to it. There's not oh, you have this particular scarf that gives you a huge advantage with Flipendo or Depulso, and then you have these gloves that give you a huge advantage with Protego. Unfortunately, the gear doesn't have that kind of in-depth system. There are little trait gem things that have some kind of effect on specific abilities or play styles, but from what I've seen, it really just is so minimal that the gear comes down to, is the number on the gear higher? Yes, equip it. That's about it, unfortunately, for the gear system. Where things really get kind of in, quote unquote, in depth with the RPG elements is the talent tree. But even then, the talent tree is really bare bones. Like, the game gives, if you hit max level, which is 40 in the game, I haven't gotten there yet, but if you hit max level, the game gives you 35 trait points, and everything in the talent tree, everything is worth 1 talent point. And I've added it all up. Out of all the talent trees that there are, from dark arts to spells to core to stealth and room of requirement, out of all of them, there's like only 45 traits to apply those 35 points to in total anyway. So no matter how you play it your first time, you'll still get the vast majority of those trait trees if you max your character's level out. You'll get the vast majority of the available trait trees. So the RPG side of the game is kind of where it's weakest, I believe.
But I mean, as far as that goes, that's more. I mean, you can tweak that through patches and whatnot throughout the game's life.
And that's my hope, is that they will really like add some depth to that, because that's the only thing I think is actually weak about the game, plus a little bit of optimization. That's the reason I give it an 8.5 out of 10, is that lack of depth in the RPG system and the little bit on the optimization front. The game doesn't crash at all or freeze, thankfully, but it does have a lot of texture pop in. And while you're like moving about the world, there's frame rate drops pretty regularly when you enter a new zone or new area.
Well, and then just one last thing I will say on the whole crazy people protesting this. The video game is perhaps the smallest point of revenue for J.K. Rowling out of her entire media empire at this point.
Oh, yeah.
I want to know, why are these people, if they're going to be protesting this, why aren't they protesting Universal Studios? Why aren't they protesting Harry Potter World and merch sales? Because she gets a much, much fatter check from ticket sales and merch sales at either Universal.
And the thing is, I have an answer to your question.
It's harder to stand out in front in the rain and snow and everything.
That, and this is the latest thing.
True.
Like, this is the newest and latest, so they feel like they can actually influence it. With the Universal Studios and like the rides or the movies, all of those hit their stride and hit their success long before J.K. Rowling made some tweets people didn't like. So there's nothing they can retroactively do to hurt them.
Yeah. This is just an entire ridiculous thing, and I hope that this game goes down in infamy for all of it, because it looks like a good game.
Oh, I'm enjoying it, for sure.
Yeah, and they've been shitting on a good game, and that is only going to Streisand affect it to the top.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
All right, well, thank you for having me on. I see that there are other people waiting, so I'm going to give them their chance. Right. Have a good one, chat.
Everyone, thank you so much for coming on, Homeless Stone. Always love these conversations. All right, I'm going to pull in Rosewitch. Hello, Rosewitch, or do you prefer I call you by your normal name? Oh. Oh, are you on Android? Just to let you know, on Android, if I pull you into calls, I can't hear you.
Oh.
Oh, no, there you go, I hear you.
Hey, yeah, it's me.
There we go.
Yeah, this whole thing with the controversy and such, it's just like, it's really like stupid if you really think about it. Because yes, this came in during the time where everyone like hating on J.K. Rowling during this, but like you said, it's a pretty good game. From what I saw, it's like that craze where like everyone hated Twilight, like they like hated on like Stephanie Meyer for it, but that's just like but she proven that she is actually a pretty good writer. Here it shows like the content is a lot better than the author, if that makes sense.
I think I see. Yeah, I think I know what you mean. Like the actual in-depth world that they've put into Hogwarts, or if we just look at the setting as a whole, and not just necessarily Hogwarts Legacy, it has reached a point where it's gone a little bit beyond J.K. Rowling at this point, especially with all the secondary media and support that the Wizarding World has gotten from like the fan base over the years. And in Hogwarts Legacy, with everything that the devs have put their own energy and influence and writing and creativity into, this is fundamentally, though she may have created the setting and the backbone of the world, she has no actual control of this game. And that's a very valid point, and that's why some of this pushback and controversy even extra makes no sense, because they actively have admitted that this whole thing is to hurt J.K. Rowling, is to hurt her bottom line and her revenue. But as you just said, outside of some small royalties, what part of this game has she controlled or influenced?
I don't think she like had any control over this. Like she may have with some like pointers like, no, this is not the actual history of Hogwarts or anything like that. But most of all, this is a completely separate game than what we are used to the films, to the books. This is like takes place even before Fantastic Beasts as well. So, and this is their story, and it has nothing to do with what J.K. Rowling has said or done.
Exactly.
Just, yeah. So, and it's just like the latest thing to hate. It's the Twilight craze all over again, pretty much.
I will say this is a little bit worse than the Twilight hate, because the thing is, the Twilight hate was not as truly vitriolic as this hate has been. Because the hate for Twilight, and I would even extend the hate of Twilight to also the fanfic spin-off, was that 50 Shades of Grey? The hatred of those properties was more, I would say like a good 35 to 40% of it was just people hating it for the meme of it. It's just like, this is a really dramatic thing. It's really over the top. It's super flamboyant, so people like to tease it and make fun of it for that reason. The rest of the hate for 50 Shades of Grey and Twilight, I think, more stemmed from I think it mostly stemmed from just of how quirky those like properties were, because Twilight is very much a departure from like a traditional vampire story. Like it's more of like an idealized, it's super polished, it's super fantastical in like a more I almost said rom-com, but it's more just like romancification of these like monster properties. So I think that's where like some of that hatred stemmed from, is it's just, it wasn't what some people wanted out of a vampire story, or in the 50 Shades of Grey sense, out of a sadistic romance story. Like they felt too good, if that makes sense. Whereas this is like political lines. This is like people like trying to say, like, turn this into where if people are being hurt if you support it type deal. So I'd say this hatred is far more vitriolic.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was just like making comparisons, like just this crazy craze, like in probably like 10 years down the line, we're gonna remember this crazy time. But yeah, you're right. A lot more people are getting hurt or getting like possibly ostracized from their own groups because they're enjoying a game that is creative, who is from like this property of a author who didn't really say like good stuff at all. But I don't know.
That's fine. This has been a wacky situation, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's just like really weird situation. Like overall, it's like you gotta separate the property from the author. It's just the best way to think of it at this point. Like separate the author from his own work.
Right. And that's how the separation from art and artist is incredibly important. And I think a lot of people have lost the ability to do that. And we really need to encourage people to go back to that kind of way of thinking, is like, you can appreciate something on its own without directly connecting it or giving too much credence to someone bad who might have created it.
Yeah, it's I'm thinking of a video that I watched some years back. It was it's about Shakespeare, a nominate. They're like saying like, should we separate the author and his work? Yes, we should, because yeah, they're real, like you said, they're really bad people, and they did really bad things. But look at all this work they've done that is influential that you can enjoy and such. Like I'm having trouble thinking of a good example. H.P. Lovecraft and his work. We all know how he is, but his work is like very influential in the genre of horror. Like, we can enjoy his stories over and over again, but he was not such a good guy.
No.
Yeah, he was even like even the extremists at that time was like telling him to tone it down.
Yeah, absolutely. And Lovecraft is arguably the ultimate example of separating the art from the artist. He was certainly a very hateful person, very paranoid. In some ways, like, he's a pitiable figure because it was clearly mental illness that affected a good chunk of it. That and bad upbringing. But regardless, we can still appreciate the work he created. Like the Cthulhu mythos, as crazy as it is, it's fascinating. And a lot of people have created things off of the back of such insanity and such a unique horror or thriller take as H.P. Lovecraft's works. I mean, one of the most popular video games of all time, I would argue anyway, is Bloodborne. And there is no doubt an immense amount of H.P. Lovecraft influence, at least in some of the bosses, I would argue, in Bloodborne, and in Dark Souls as a whole. And with sorry, go ahead.
No, I was agreeing with you.
Okay. But this is a trend that really needs to stop. All in all, is like people need to learn to be able to separate art from artists. But and again, in this case of Hogwarts Legacy, it's not even like her art. She provided the source material for the art that someone else made. So it should be even easier to make that separation, and yet somehow people aren't able to do that.
Yeah, I think it's part of it. She is so, like, in everyone's consciousness, she is so ingrained into this world that she had created, and automatically they think she's a part of it. And it's also partly with the Fantastic Beasts as well. Like, I think she had some part of it, and I think that after that, everyone thinks that she had some part in everything that has to deal with Hogwarts Legacy to anything Harry Potter.
And I don't think she's had hardly any hands-on control over the franchise since the books. Obviously she influenced the movies, but she was writing the books at the same time. I'd say after the movies and the books came out as in total, I think after that she's had a very hands-off kind of approach with this franchise, at least to the extent of she's not like micromanaging and at the offices of like the video game interpretations. She wasn't constantly like telling. I think she was what's the term? She was spoken about like how the Universal rides and how the Universal area, the Wizarding World area, was supposed to look. But even then, if you look at it, it's clearly more influenced by the movies than it is directly by the books.
Yeah.
So, well, anyway, thank you so much for coming on, Rose Witch. I appreciate it, and I always love hearing from you.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Thank you for coming on.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye. Alrighty. I'm going to share the link in chat again to the call line Discord. Go ahead and jump into call line 1, 2, or 3 if you'd like to give your take on the situation, or just ask me further clarification questions about my take, anything like that. Feel free to come right on in. Welcome Scarlet to the stream. I think it's weird to isolate Harry Potter. Like, if people knew that many CEOs and investors did with money earned from games they loved, they'd be very surprised. Well, that's the thing. There's a when it comes to that kind of way of thinking with these people, they are not capable of critical thought. Like, a lot of these people probably own, like, they're tweeting all of this stuff about, like, how horrible J.K. Rowling is and you shouldn't support Hogwarts Legacy because it's tangentially related to her and she's getting royalties. They're tweeting all of that on an iPhone or on an Android. And you know where these are made? China. And they're not made by highly paid, careful technician employees. They're paid by sweatshop workers. Where on the roof of those buildings, they have to have these giant nets around them to prevent employees jumping off of them and committing suicide. Because they're paid so little and work so hard. Like, the amount of human rights that are violated in the places where this is made. Yeah, these people are not morally consistent whatsoever. That's the thing you got to keep in mind is when they shout, they scream, they lose their minds on Twitter and other places like that, especially over something this stupid. Their cognitive dissonance is insane. They don't actually believe the things they say. They're what's the term? Armchair activists. They're keyboard warriors. Do they actually practice what they preach? Do they believe what they're saying? No, they don't. They're happy to buy the latest iPhone. They're happy to buy the latest video game. They're happy to buy the latest of whatever, as long as the party or the group or the echo chamber doesn't tell them that they're transphobic for doing so. They are not morally consistent whatsoever. And that's a huge reason why you shouldn't listen to them. Because they don't believe what they're saying. They convince themselves that they do. But the moment it inconveniences or hurts their quality of life is the moment that they start backing off from those such hardcore beliefs. And it's fairly entertaining to watch. They have no self-awareness at all. No, they don't. First world problems. We have things so good, people have to make up things to be outraged about. Exactly. And that's... I would almost call it a divine comedy to watch. Like, these people live such good lives and such sheltered and coddled and softened lives that they genuinely believe a video game that's not even made by the person they're so angry at should be destroyed because it actually, quote-unquote, represents an active threat to trans people. And it doesn't. No one playing Hogwarts Legacy is thinking in the back of their head, oh, wouldn't it be so cool if the trans people just all died or disappeared? No one's thinking that. And what happens? And the thing is, what happens if they had succeeded and J.K. Rowling didn't get any money from this? The game did not sell. It was a complete bomb. What would have come of it? Nothing. The woman's a billionaire. If she truly wanted to, like they believe she does, hurt the trans community and hurt LGBTQ plus communities, she has more than enough resources to bury you all. She is one of the most powerful women in the world, solely on a financial basis. And money buys everything. With the amount of money she has, she could buy everything she would need to destroy you. If she was truly as passionate about that as you think she is. And Hogwarts Legacy, having failed, would have done nothing to hurt that power. So to the people who have been fighting so hard on that front, thinking that they would actually make a difference, just with everything else in your life, I hate to break it to you, you have done nothing. You have achieved nothing. You are nothing. You are weak. You are powerless. And this is showing you how much so you are. And if you were foolish enough to believe for even a second that you had the influence and power you thought you did, you are a moron. And that's the kindest descriptor I can give for someone who thinks like that. Just saying. Oh, by the way, that actually reminds me. Everyone who's here right now, how many of you... We'll do this. One in the chat if you've seen the tweets that stemmed all of this hatred for J.K. Rowling. If you've seen them. One in the chat if you guys have seen them. If you wanted to know why people think she's transphobic, and if you have seen those tweets, one in the chat. And put 2 in the chat if you have not. All right, so I got 1, 1, 1, 1. So a lot of you have seen him. Cindy has not seen him. Okay. Like, the other 2 guys hasn't seen him. Oh, this was forever ago. So if you were, this was like these tweets are forever ago. Okay, I got a few people who've answered no. So let's do this. I actually have them pulled up. If you all wanted to see where this stemmed from, I did have to unfortunately go to an article thing to find them, but I have them pulled up. This was back in 2020, June 6. People who menstruate was what was mentioned in this article that she's referencing. I'm sure there used to be a word for those people. Someone help me out. Wumban, wimpund, womund. Obviously, she's making a joke that, you know, instead of women being called women and being referenced as women, they're just, because sex doesn't exist to these people in this mentality, they have been re-summarized as people who menstruate. The term women is now no longer restricted to that. Opinion, creating a more equal post-COVID-19 world for people who menstruate. And there's more. There's more. We're going to read them all. If sex isn't real, there's no same-sex attraction. If sex isn't real, the lived reality of women globally is erased. I know and love trans people, but erasing the concept of sex removes the ability of many to meaningfully discuss their lives. It isn't hate to speak the truth. It keeps going. The idea that women like me, who've been empathetic to trans people for decades, feeling kinship because they are vulnerable in the same way as women, i.e. to male violence, hate trans people because they think sex is real and has lived consequences is a nonsense. I respect every trans person's right to live any way that feels authentic and comfortable to them. I'd march with you if you were discriminated against on the basis of being trans. At the same time, my life has been shaped by being female. I do not believe it's hateful to say so. I've never felt as shouted down, ignored, and targeted as a lesbian. This is her quoting this article. Within our supposed GLBT, gay, lesbian, bi, trans community as I have over the past couple of years. And that's her quoting something. That's not her like actually directly saying it. So these are the source of all of this hatred. All of this spite, all of this vitriol stems from these tweets. And nothing else. No matter what people might say, nothing else. Because I've looked and I've heard the arguments. I've had the arguments online. this is it. This is the grand sin that J.K. Rowling committed that has had her labeled, harassed, and threatened online. This is where all of this vitriol, hatred, spite, and disgust stems from. Some really nothing burger tweets. And the thing is, I've asked several of these psychos on like Twitter and other places if they have seen the tweets that they're so like hostily against J.K. Rowling over. And credit to some of them, they admitted no, they have not seen them. Some just disregarded me asking that question and just asked why I'm such a transphobe. Those are the ones that have also admitted to me, but not directly, that they have not read these tweets. Just so everyone knows where all of this is coming from. These nothing burger tweets have led to the complete insane belief that J.K. Rowling is this hardcore hater of trans people. Because she dared to disagree. I find that more entertaining than anything else. Should have shown those to a former friend. I mean, I fucking screenshot them. Because I love seeing people's reaction to it, like especially if they're like part of this movement that are so hardcore against. The thing is, by all accounts, J.K. Rowling is a hard lefty, and a lot of these activists are hard lefties as well. By all accounts, she agrees with them on 99% of everything, but she disagreed in this one thing, and not even hostily, might I add. Again, she made such a point to like love on trans people in those tweets, and they still jumped down her throat. They still, for years after the fact, this was 3 years ago when these tweets happened, 3 years ago, and they still hold this candle of hatred for her, as if she was just some kind of hardcore alt-right Nazi or nut job, just screaming how much she hates trans people. And that's how they always make it out to be, when all she did was just disagree on one specific article. That was it. That was her sin. And that was enough for them to think that they could cannibalize her. As always, there's more nuance to the situation. Yeah, exactly. These people hate her virtually over nothing. And they don't even know it. They think that she said this horrible thing because they were told by a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend that J.K. Rowling was just this so hateful bigot of trans people. They've never seen the tweets. They've never seen what is stemming all of this hatred. And if it weren't so sad, it would be the most amazing comedy ever. Not even surprised? No, you shouldn't be. Oh yeah, I've seen that going around, by the way. Yeah, people who menstruate, and a recent like insult that's been going around for like women, that is like lobbied at women by like trans activists on like Twitter and stuff, is especially if they don't agree with them on a topic, they're called breeders. Which, by the way, I'm sorry, but no way in hell can you tell me calling a woman a bitch or even a cunt is anywhere near as bone-chillingly disgusting as just labeling them breeders. That, for me, is far more disgusting to say than cunt or bitch. Personally. Obviously, I'm not a woman. I like feel free, you know, if you're a woman, if you disagree and you think cunt or bitch are worse, by all means. But to me, I'm sorry, but I think calling someone a breeder is way worse. Call me crazy. It just sounds far more disgusting and far more degrading than bitch or cunt. Far more like, nah, that's almost evil level of grossness. Rowling's right to be concerned. I certainly think there was some validity to her original tweets. That's my opinion. And my bitchiness. It's far more insulting. I'm just saying, I'm getting. Thank you for agreeing with me. It just sounds so much worse. it's so much worse. The irony is some people online who are weebs took it as a compliment. The term breeder. That's actually kind of concerning. Like if there are women out there who are complimented by that term, I think you need to get some help. Because I feel like that goes a little bit beyond a kink at that point. Like I think that might be a therapy night. I think again, I'm a guy. I'm completely just removed from this. But as a man who loves many women in my life, my girlfriend, my mom, my sister, if someone called them a breeder in front of me, I'd throw hands. I'd throw bodies. Like that would not end well. That would not end well. Just prior warning. If someone called my mom or my sister or my girlfriend in front of me a breeder or an incubator, all bets are off. I don't care if I go to jail. Like, you don't say that. That's just disgusting. The thing is, I'm not exactly a choir boy about, like, swears and stuff, right? Like, I am with kids. Like, for me, I think kids should not swear. Like, I think you need to earn the right to swear when you become an adult. Because I think you need to learn when not to swear before you should allow yourself to swear when you do want to. Personally, because I think it, you know, when you're young, it's good to learn to control that and to not just fly off the handle. And then once you got a hold of like that, when you become an adult, go right ahead. That's like the most choir boy I get with that, is I do think you need to earn your swearing stripes, if you will. But even then, if it's in private as a kid, I think you should, like, if you're in your room by yourself or you're playing a video game and your mom or your grandmother aren't in the room, go ahead, swear. Like, go ahead, but learn when not to. 100%. Like I said, that's the most choir boy I get. Outside of that, say whatever the fuck you want. Like, I don't care what swear it is. I don't care. Like, obviously, slurs, that's when things get a little shaky with me. Especially if you mean them. But, like, the actual, like, core swears, right? Like, fuck, shit, bitch. Like, those are the only ones that immediately came to mind. Technically hell, I guess, even though that's more of a place. You know, by all means, rip it. But that's it. There are dead men walking? Yes. I'll go to jail. Like I said, I'll go to jail. I'll go to jail. Like, you call someone an incubator or a breeder in front of me, I'll kill you. Like, no. Especially if it's someone I care for. Like, I can imagine, like, even an ex, like, I have some pretty bad exes. I've shared some stories before. I have some pretty bad exes that were, like, physically violent with me. And if someone called them a breeder or an incubator in front of me, I would, for a brief second, be like, do I want to go to jail for this? And then I'd still go to jail, because no, I wouldn't tolerate that. That's just disgusting. It's like a whole new level. It's like, just call it, like, if someone called her a bitch, I'd be like, yeah. But you say incubator or breed, no, bets are off. I'm done. That is a no. That's a pretty good way to put it, Yokai. The true sign of adulthood is having the ability to not swear and know when to swear. Exactly. Like I said, that's the most choir boy I get. I do think like a little kid swearing needs to be like kowtowed, because you need to be able to teach a kid like professionally. Like if you're like in a meeting with your boss, you need to know in that moment swears are off the table. Unless you are a contractor and your boss is more of like a down to earth kind of workaholic. But if you're in like an office setting or a more professional setting, or just in a job interview, you need to be able to know, like, you can't say, like, if if an interview asks you, hey, can you let's say it's like for a construction job, it's like, hey, can you do you have like any certification for like OSHA safety or anything like that? And if you respond with, oh yeah, I fucking got that shit, I mean, come on, man. If I were the interviewer, I'd be like, okay, not hiring this guy. He can't even control himself talking to me. Well, I guess with the economy the way it is now, I suppose I wouldn't. I'd be like, I just need someone. I need a warm body on the construction site. Winter has come for the House of Frey. Game of Thrones reference. We had home words and public words, so we were taught outside. We used outside words, and Mom made sure we knew what home words were. Yeah, I mean, my parents did something similar. My dad's rule with me specifically was, you're allowed to swear in front of me. I don't care what you have to say. You call me something, I'm going to beat you. You call, and my dad's rules were, you can swear as much as you want, but there's two fundamental rules. One, you never swear in front of your mother. Ever. Because I will beat you. You never call someone in front of me with no one else around or otherwise a slur or a swear word. I'll beat you. And there was one other rule. Oh yeah. You never swear in front of your grandmother. Any of them. Not your nana, not your grandmother. You never swear in front of them. I don't care how small it is. You can't say damn. Can't say hell. Can't even say crap. I will paddle your ass right then and there. Outside of that, go ham. I don't care. Yeah, to be at home and not used as an insult to parents. Exactly. Again, it's the most choir boy I get is, kids need to be enforced to not swear and know how not to swear so that they can swear when they get their adult stripes. Alright, so real quick here. I'm going to share the link one more time. If anyone would like to jump in and give their thoughts on the Hogwarts Legacy controversy BS, feel free to jump right on in. I will still interact with the chat here until I get a caller. And if I don't get a caller within a certain amount of time, we'll call it. We'll call it. It's been a good open mic. I mean, the callers I've had have been very nice. By saying it in French. I mean, I suppose using a different language that's unlikely for your customers to know. I suppose that is a workaround, but I'm stuck with English, so. Various approaches are interesting to see, but all of them have a similar base, teaching the kids. Exactly. Mouth washed out with soap. Ooh. Honestly, I don't know what's worse, getting your mouth washed out with soap or having your ass beat. I got used to the latter, so. You were a very bitty child. Or a very bitey child, sorry. That direction. I can see that, yeah. Swearing's kind of a funny thing, isn't it? I didn't actually see that anywhere. He might have though. Like, I don't remember who. I know for a fact that Rupert Grint. It's either Grin or Grint, but Rupert Grint and Emma Watson. Emma Stone, Emma Watson. There's Emma Watson. I know the two of them denounced J.K. Rowling. I think it was recently too. But they denounced J.K. Rowling about the things that she said. And again, like, I just read out the tweets. I don't think she said anything crazy. Certainly nothing like as hateful as people make her out to be. But I know for a fact that they denounced her, and I'm pretty sure Daniel Radcliffe denounced her, but I don't know. He might have just stayed out of the situation entirely. But I know for a fact Emma Watson and Rupert Grint, the actors who played Hermione Granger and Ron Weasley, I know for a fact they denounced her. But I can't speak to if the actor, and I don't remember his name, but I do know the actor you're talking about, the one who played Draco Malfoy. I can't remember the actor's name, but yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if he defended her a little bit. The thing is, I think they all should have defended her because she didn't say anything that bad. Hell, I wouldn't even say she said anything inflammatory, but this is Twitter we're talking about. They think you saying hello the wrong way is inflammatory. All that whole microaggression bullshit. Hoyle 700, welcome to stream. Tom Felton. Okay, that's his name. It's a memorable name too, so I don't know why I forgot it. Does that just renounce their royalty checks? We all know they will never do that. Yeah, Emma Watson, I don't know, in my opinion, this is an opinion piece. I don't know her, obviously, so I can't speak to personal experience with a person. But certainly from, like, the outsider perspective, she definitely looked like she went nuts. Oh, no, like, that's the thing, Dryad. I don't think the actors care whatsoever. The thing is, I don't think anyone in this situation cares about what they say they care about. Like, I don't think Rupert Grint cared about the situation. Neither do I think Emma Watson did. What they cared about was their careers. And no offense to Rupert Grint, but I don't think he really has one, so I found that interesting. But the reason they denounced her was they just didn't want to look bad. They didn't want her to drag them down with her. So they denounced her in the hopes that they would be left alone. And that's why they did that. Make no mistake. Don't ever ride under the assumption that there's some kind of like altruistic, like they truly believe in like the ideological stances in here. Like, no, they don't care. It's paycheck related. It's career related. That's why they care. And the people who are going after her for this stuff, do you think they care about trans people? They say they do. They pretend that they do. But in reality, they're just bored. They have no real problems. Their lives are perfectly sanitized and coddled. That's why they create these things to fight against, because they're bored. They don't actually care. I find it funny that they pretend that they do, but they don't. Cabinet of Curiosities? I don't even think I saw that. To be honest, outside of Harry Potter, I can't think of a single thing Rupert Grint has been in. Yeah, they get paid big bucks to pretend. That's exactly correct. That's why this whole situation is bullshit. Hence the title of the stream. Yeah, I can't think of a single thing. I know he's been in stuff other than Harry Potter, but I couldn't tell you a single. Unlike Daniel Radcliffe, I can name a few things he's been in. He was in that Frankenstein movie the whole thing was from his character's perspective, which was Igor's. It was also in Guns Akimbo, I think is the name of the movie, where he gets two pistols nailed to his hands, which was fucking weird. And Swiss Army Man or some crazy thing like that. The reason I remember the roles he's been in since Harry Potter is they're so fucking weird. Like, they're so weird. Horns, yeah. Like that one where he's like turns into the devil at one point in the movie. Yeah, like I know other stuff he's been in. And he's been in a lot of weird shit. And to be honest, I think he's been in such weird shit since Harry Potter because he wants to be separated from it. Like, he doesn't want to be known as that guy who played Harry Potter his whole life. Unfortunately, I don't care how crazy of roles he takes on, he's always going to be known for that. But on the upside, unlike with Rupert Grint, I can actually think of other things he's been in and other roles he's played. So, to a degree, he succeeded. Likes horror movies? And that fits. He was in an Ed Sheeran music video. Mrs. Weasley called him out in the comment section. Wait, the actress? I assume so. Funny to read. What music video? I think a lot of this was an attempt to use outrage and controversy to sell the game, make it seem forbidden to get a lot more people to stop and take a look. I mean, I can see why someone would think that, but to be honest, I think that's giving way too much credit to the industry. And if that were the case, I think it would die down by now, to be honest. Like, if this was all purely drummed up for that, I think it would have died down by now. Like, this would have, like, the game is officially sold its pre-orders in totality, and it's released now. So, and we're already a day past release. I'd say if it doesn't die down within the last 3 days, I think the possibility of that is pretty low. To be honest, I think it's a much simpler answer of people wanted to influence and control people and tell them not to get something so they could feel powerful and feel like they're in control. And when it didn't work, they switched gears and are trying their best to re-engage some of that imagined power that they had over other people. This whole thing to me comes off more as people wanted to influence others, it failed, and in fact, the opposite of what they wanted to happen happened, showing how not only weak they were, but how much they actively hurt the side that they were pretending to be on. And in an attempt to save face and regain some of that imagined power and ego that they had, they're trying to continue to influence things. I think it's far more down to that than it is some kind of grand conspiracy in the background where there was like a secret movement to drum up all this stuff just for the game's success. And to be honest, it also comes down to this game would have been a hit no matter what, controversy or no controversy, because it's a Harry Potter game. And it's the first like proper RPG we've gotten with it, I think, ever. So, yeah. And plus with the amount, like, with what happened with the controversy, it definitely doesn't come off like some kind of psyop. Associate was as they are blonde. Occam's razor. Yeah. I think this is just a case of, again, people just, they wanted to control the situation. They didn't. It backfired. And now, to try and save face, they're continuing to try and fight it. It's more about power and control. I don't think any of this actually has anything to do with trans people. I don't think any of this actually has anything to do with J.K. Rowling's views. Because again, I read the tweets earlier. None of those were inflammatory or crazy. No, like, this is all about power. This is all about control. This is all about influence. And a lot of people being angry that their influence and power wasn't what they thought. Yeah, there was some kind of tie-in game RPG like forever ago, but I never played it. I think it was actually mentioned to me while I've been streaming Hogwarts Legacy on the side. But outside of that, this is the only proper RPG that we've gotten. It's definitely in the West. I mean, yeah, I would actually agree with that, Yokai. There's not a single Harry Potter game that I played anyway that I hated. Like, I didn't play the PlayStation 1 Sorcerer's Stone, which I found interesting. A lot of people were bringing that up during this whole thing. But I didn't play that. But I did play the Chamber of Secrets PlayStation 2 game, I did also play the Prisoner of Azkaban game, which I think was also PlayStation 2, if not PlayStation 3. I played the Goblet of Fire video game, and I played all the movie tie-in ones pretty much up to Order of the Phoenix. I didn't play the Half-Blood Prince game if there was one, and I didn't play Deathly Hallows one if there was one. I just played Chamber of Secrets through Order of the Phoenix for the video games on console as a kid. I love all of them. They are flawed, but I love all of them. Didn't you play the PC version of the Sorcerer's Stone? I don't think so. If I did, I don't remember. I have actually played. I have played the Lego one though. I have played the Lego Harry Potter games. But that I won't say necessarily because it was Harry Potter though. Like I just grew up playing Lego game, like the Lego video games. So honestly, I just kind of added that to the collection. I don't think I have the Lego game anymore though. If I do, it's like somewhere in the house, mysteriously hidden away. They're flawed, but they're fun. Yeah, exactly. The later Harry Potter games become third-person shooters. Yes, actually, the Goblet of Fire one is a not quite a top-down. It's more like, what do you call that? When it's like from an angle top-down, not quite third-person, but like a little bit above the characters, kind of like an arena movement thing. I don't know what to call that view. It's not top down, it's not like straight top down, and it's not third person, but it's like you see them at a distance. Isometric? Maybe. Might be isometric. I know Goblet of Fire is like that type. And it's also like you control like Harry, Ron, and Hermione, and you can switch between them in that one. Well, it doesn't look like I got any callers, guys, so I'm gonna call it here. Unfortunately, I don't have internet access for too much longer. There's some weird stuff going on with my internet at home. I am going to negotiate with my family if they'll let me. Because the thing is, for right now, for us to do internet, basically like one person, like we can all connect to the Wi-Fi in my house, but only one of us can connect like via Ethernet cable and to stream properly and on high quality. I need an Ethernet connection to the adapter. And only one Ethernet cable connection will actually hold right now. So I'm going to see if I can get that like reserved for a few hours tomorrow to stream some more Hogwarts Legacy. And the upside is without the internet, I can play the game offline. So I'm doing a little bit of side grinding tonight once I surrender the internet. But I'm hoping to stream some more of it tomorrow. So look out for that one. And gladiatorial combat for Ethan. Richie Mazadu, yeah. Wonderful. All the callers that came on, much appreciated your perspectives and the conversations. I think this was a good stream. I enjoyed this open mic, and I hope you all did as well. I hope you all have an amazing night, day, whatever time it is, wherever you're at. And if you're playing Hogwarts Legacy like I am, I hope you're having as much of a blast as I am. It's a really good game, really solid. Anyway, love you guys. Leave a like before you head out. Subscribe, all that fun stuff. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.